So a project that's been in our backlog for a long time has been to relate a source code or source control commit to an individual story or requirement in Salesforce. Since the devs are fairly lazy, we like to automate as much stuff as we can. And while this wasn't really a 4-hour time project, because it's actually a requirement for our project app, um, it was so cool that I'm still going to record a video and kind of treat it like a 4-hour time project because it's a lot of fun to work on. So the devs have been using GitHub to track changes to our code base. So without going into too much technical detail, I have GitHub in my browser here, and you can see just various commits that have been made against GitHub. We can actually look at the code and see kind of what has changed in an individual commit as far as code. So you can see lines that have been removed, lines that have been added. Now GitHub has a service called service hooks, which actually allow you to programmatically do a bunch of stuff every time a commit is received. And so for this particular demo, I've set up a web service in Dharma that GitHub is going to actually send data to every time a new commit is made. And so we've added a new commits object. There's actually a couple other objects in the system as well, but commits can be related to stories. So I just have a very bare bones story here in Dharma. It's really, I just have the auto number. But what we can do is if we are working or modifying some code, so I'm going to go into my editor here, I'm going to find that GitHub class. This is actually where a lot of the code is actually handling the receiving of the GitHub data. And I'm just going to make a really minimal change here. Maybe I'll just add a quick comment and say return the commits. So really small change. So Git is version control, which will actually show you what has changed. So I can see that this particular class just got modified, and I can actually look at what got modified there just like that. If this was a file I wanted to actually put in source control, I can go ahead and add it. So I'm just adding classes GitHub. And then if I want to push this to the and actually make a commit, I can give it a commit message. So I can say git commit, add a message, and I'm going to say adding a comment to help out. And I can actually pass in the story name or the story auto number using hashtag syntax. And then GitHub and Salesforce will know what to do from there. So I can actually just say just like that. I've added that commit, and I just need to push that commit back up to GitHub now. As soon as that commit gets pushed to GitHub, GitHub is again going to call over to Salesforce. It should be very quickly. So in fact, if I refresh this screen right now, we can actually see that commit got made. And in fact, we have the commit message. We know it's related to this story. If we jump into that commit object, we can actually see the files that were changed as well. It actually tracks additions, deletions, and modifications. So we can see that it modified this GitHub class, and it was modified today. Enhancements might be around adding, who made that modification, looking up to a Salesforce user, so on and so forth. Now we can also do this with cases as well. So I mentioned you could throw in that story auto number. You can also pass in a case number as well. And just to really kind of highlight this, I'm going to maybe go back into my editor here. I'll maybe make some changes here. So maybe I will say, what am I going to do? I'm just going to maybe delete a field. So we don't need that field anymore. We don't need that field anymore. I'll save that, and maybe I'm actually going to make a new file too. So I'll make another class, and I'll just call this demo class. I might just do something like this. So then again, if I look at my status here, I can see one file was modified, 2 files were added. I'm just going to add everything. And again, I can just pass in a commit message. So bug fix related to, and again, I can pass in that case number. Push this back up to GitHub. You'll notice this is kind of the case I've been testing a lot of. So it actually already had three commits related to it. But if I go ahead and refresh that, there should be a 4th commit. You see that 4th commit, and I can see there is that bug fix. If I go into that commit, I'll be able to see the 1 file that was modified, and then the 2 files that were added. So you can see added those 2 files and modified that 1 file. So there's a lot of stuff we can do. We can actually look at a particular file. So I might actually go back to this story and see. I know that that GitHub class has changed a few times as I've been working on this process. So if I pull up that particular class, I drill into that commit, and pull up that class, I'll be able to see every single commit that has referenced this class or changed this class, which would be just really, really helpful as far as seeing what's changed when, by who, what stories are related to it. Really a lot of stuff that we can do, and in fact this would really, really help our deployments, help kind of building change sets. So as a dev, I no longer need to kind of manually keep track of what files I'm changing for a story. I'll kind of have my deployment cheat sheet right there and know what exactly I need to do. So really fun project, not done yet, but really only a couple of hours of dev time because GitHub's API is so amazing. It really made development super, super easy. So it really goes to show how a good integration and a good API can really benefit development. But I thought it was pretty cool. We'll probably talk about this in our dev meeting next week, and hopefully it's live in production within a week or two, and I'm really excited. So cool, have a good one, take care.